Okay.
You having a problem?
We're good to go. Check. Michael. I need to turn that off. Sorry, Alice. Got to cut the good vibes there. That was Conspiracy Music Guru, True Solfeggio, awesome sounds, and 432. Highly recommended, and you can always support his work at the various places. Good evening all, or good day, wherever you may be, from both of us to wherever you are. I see there are some people from different parts of the world here already, so very nice to see you. Mark, JP, Kathy Roughton, Stupid, how are you doing? Hippie, of course, lovely to see you, and thanks for your support, sharing this out. I do appreciate that. So here we are. It's we've just hit equinox. Wherever you are, they say the sun rises west for everybody, sorry, east for everybody, at 270 degrees or 90 degrees, and sets at 270. I'd see some people say that proves that we live on a globe. For me, it is evidence that the system is aligning to the individual. But I won't go too much into that. I did have a nice conversation just now with Alex Michael, and he is really excited about his party, gathering that he's throwing in September, 21st, 2 days in September. It'll be like a 4-day event, but 2 days at his place, and music, maybe some talking from a few well-known faces from our truth community, and food and wine, and some karaoke and some live conspiracy music guru stuff. So
and connection, lots of connection.
More importantly,
yeah,
that's the awesome thing about it, is the opportunity to gather and to share, and to have fellowship with our brothers and sisters in this unbelievable realm that we live in, you know. And we're all learning to navigate this realm anew, because we didn't know, and when we're still working a lot of stuff out, but we didn't know. And
or maybe the other way around, we were remembering. So
coming back to fullness and wholeness, and wow, something magnificent. I think that's what we have to work towards, is that magnificence, you know, that divinity, because that's the thing that all the deceptions are based in, you know, distracting us, detracting us, destructing us, or destructing ourselves, as a way of, is the audio good?
Yeah, I'm just checking to see if anybody said anything, but I'm assuming it's all good.
Yeah. So that's the, you know, I think that's why we want to level up, and, you know, get together with people who are leveling up, you know, who are interested in the current affairs and the so on, but yeah.
Leveling
well,
in.
yeah, I mean, I think it's a journey, isn't it? And actually, you know, it's a journey inward rather than the journey outward. What was the correlation we were making the other day about how the whole Elon Musk going to Mars, all of these things, outer space and so on, they're all designed to get us to think outside of the macroverse, as we understand it. We have a macroverse, and we are the microverse, and the microverse is also always being pulled into things outside of it. What was the thing that we were?
Well, we were listening to sorry, I've forgotten her channel name. I think her name's Nicole Murphy. She was on Alphabetic, Law of the Luminaries.
Law of the Luminaries, yeah.
And you know, it was this real realization of how we're constantly pulled outward, and even so much as that we're outside the realm, we're on the outside of this, and and the way that she explains it, her view on it, which is she's taken from many different sources and alchemized it herself, is that we can't leave this realm until we're done. And there's this constant like we have to get out of here, and a lot of people, importantly in the truth community, say, I never want to come back here.
I don't have children, and
and it's hell, and I think the whole test is, can we actually want to be here? Like you said, it's that not even wanting to be in your body. Can we enjoy being here? Can we really want to be here? Can we not feel like it's something we need to escape from?
You set yourself up for Tough Mudder, and you're halfway through Tough Mudder crying on the side going, this is so damn hard, I didn't sign up, I think you can stop there, but I think eventually we have to finish the course. And
no one said this was for the faint-hearted. Yeah. It's not for the faint-hearted, not by a long shot, but actually I truly believe that when you do that work, the freedom you are seeking is not something that you're going to get on the outside. It's not by escaping this realm. It's not by going to another place. It's not even going to another country. It's not about changing a relationship. It's not about changing a job. I'm not saying you stay in any of those things if you're unhappy. Of course not. But we always want the outside to change. So it's always this outward. And so the idea that they're getting us to think, well, this place is no good, even in the mainstream, let's go to Mars because this place is going to be uninhabitable. And yeah, so that was the correlation. It was the constant pulling us outside of ourselves.
Pulling us outside of ourselves, and seeking a savior out there, or being fascinated by the JFK files or whatever, and realizing that we're still not going to get the
but
full
story. It's
also
hating our experience, right? Hating this experience. And that's all part of the programming. It's like
then you're hating on yourself, essentially. So, and the more we put hate out there, the more it's going to match us with that. So the more they put fear propaganda about World War III, the more they're going to get people to create that. What are we to do with that? Are we to get drawn into the same energetic spiral that this is designed to create? Or are we the antithesis? Are we, despite the madness? And of course, the closer we get to the sort of the top of the pyramid, or let's not talk about pyramids right now. But the closer we get to the top of the spiral, then the tighter things become. And of course, it's only the best that can squeeze right out of the filter. That has to be.
Well, I don't like the word "the best" because I think then that's like a superiority thing, and I think that is one of our survival mechanisms. Is that like I need to I need to ascend. I need to be better. I need to be superior.
But the best of ourselves, surely that's.
Yes.
Not because it is only you that you're competing with. If there's any competition, it's only you that is your. It's like this was. You set yourself a test. Did you complete the Tough Mudder? Did you get partway through? If you only got partway through, that's no problem. Here's some food, a few millennia in heaven, and then you come back down again and try again. So kind of thing. I don't see it as like a better than anyone else.
I think it comes down to love, actually, and again, I'm not meaning romantic love, although that's an aspect of it. I think that if we're created in love, then we return to love, and love isn't always. I say this all the time. It's not always this happy, beautiful thing. Sometimes it's sad, and sometimes it's there's conflict, and sometimes we need boundaries, and it's just about being in flow. But it's. I saw someone write the other day. It all comes down to how we treat ourselves and each other, and that's born out of love. And so, for me, that's like that's the best of me. The best of me is when I can be conscious, and I can be in flow, and I can be responsible, and I can own not only my highs but my lows, yeah, I think that's the best. You know, we've been put in a system where there's the good and it's good or bad, and that's played upon, and then of course we swing from I'm good, I'm bad, I'm good, I'm bad, and I don't know that there is either. I think it's the middle is freedom, love, acceptance.
Yeah.
And you know, we were talking the other day about the dark, weren't we? About how we've been told that the dark is bad, or that that any of those sort of shadowy parts of ourselves we need to reject, and you know, we need to be Puritan, or we need to go to church and repent, or you know, we have to forever be praying to God or to Jesus to thank Him for dying for our sins, which keeps us in this perpetual loop of we're bad and we need to somehow make good of that.
I had a conversation today, an exchange with a guy who I have a connection dating back to 1991. I was working for a fitness company in South Africa that had a number of locations around the country. And then I left. Their marketing director started a new company, and I left and went to work for the new company. The old company sued me and the new company for a restraint of trade to prevent me and one other guy from working. So we had a lawyer, a young guy, a few years older than me, a few years older than me, but a young lawyer by the name of Kevin, and he became got involved in our business, our company and stuff like that in a bit, and we hung out, we spent a bit of time together, and I was doing a promotion down at a gym in Cape Town, and the owner of the gym had a hotel on Sea Point High Road that was being renovated, and he said, you guys can stay there during the 3-week promotion. On this one night, we'd gone out partying and come back at 3 a.m, and the hotel door was locked because it wasn't actually operating as a hotel, and the concierge had locked it all up and blah, blah, blah. So we decided to go around the side of the hotel, see if we could find a way in. And on the side of the hotel, there was a wall next to the parking lot, about, I'd say a 7-foot wall. About a 7-foot wall. But so the lawyer said, Kevin, he said, I'll go first. So I gave him like a hand up. And the next minute I hear this blood-curdling scream. And he's writhing in agony on the other side of the wall. I mean, I can't see him, but this is all happening. And so with the adrenaline, I somehow managed to jump over the wall. And as I jump over the wall, I realize there's all this embedded glass in the top of the cement, broken glass, that's designed as a deterrent. And because we didn't see it, he just went straight over it. And his arm looked like he'd been bitten by a shark. His arm was shredded. And that was my first thought, was like, wow, it looks like he's been bitten by a shark. And so I got the strength to kind of lift him up and over the wall and to a friend and sort of tourniquet his arm. And it was 3 a.m, and I had a BMW then, and as fast as it could go, I went to the hospital. And the doctors gave him 15 minutes to live, So and because of the quick action, he was able to pull through. A lot of skin, what do they call it, plastic surgery and skin grafts and stuff like that over the years on that arm. Anyway, we made contact with each other some time ago, and the long and short of it is he's like a high-level Freemason. Like he's the 3rd highest Freemason in South Africa or some such thing, and he's a super high-level Freemason. I haven't got we haven't had that kind of a conversation. He's like now a hard-bitten lawyer, kind of, been slogging it out in the courts for all these years, blah blah blah. All sorts of personal life travails and stuff. Of course, you know, he can never forget that day because he's got huge scarring on his forearm. But he said to me today, this has been a long story, so thanks for bearing with me. But he said to me today that he believes and I mean, he wasn't saying this as a high-level Freemason, but, you know, he's like super top level in South Africa. He said, you know, he thinks that God is imagine a crystal, and we are shards of that crystal. We are shards of the crystal. That's what I think. And that's what he unsolicited, you know, that's what came from him today. And so I told you that long story because, you know, this guy spent he's been like a big nose lawyer and, you know, obviously the Freemason thing. You know, they know what they know, you know, whatever they know.
Well, I mean, that's a really interesting thing to say when it goes back to the best is being our most loving self. But isn't it interesting that our trauma and our ego, as a consequence that is born out of the trauma, in almost all cases, and I'm going to say all cases because I truly believe that, is that we have decided stuff about ourselves very, very young in the times when we are completely unconscious, and it just gets stored as a memory in our body mind, that we were not good enough, we were bad, we were wrong, we were disgusting, we were awful, we were unlovable, whatever it is, you know, we're not worthy. And then and because we can't remember that, it becomes our identity, and that's where we live life from. And from that place, although we might not, we certainly can't unconscious of it most of the time, because it's so subtle, a lot of it. Obviously, there are people who've had much bigger trauma, but it doesn't need to be big trauma. It's so subtle. And then from that place, we hate on ourselves. And you know, there's that voice in the head that says, you can't do it, you shouldn't do it, you know, you can't be seen, whatever it is. And you know, we've learned these incredible ways to survive life. And that's how we're all living. We're living life surviving because of decisions, unconscious decisions, and perhaps past life karma that we have to overcome or heal or bring to wholeness or bring to completion. But if we are those fractals, if we are those shards, then we already are worthy. We already are lovable. We already are love. We already are that pure light. We've forgotten, and we live our lives from a place of victim consciousness, of poverty consciousness. I'm not saying that the outside isn't manipulating that. Totally. But that's where the responsibility thing comes, because it's that's where we're the only ones who can alchemize that, heal that. You know, it's not my fault, it's not my responsibility. But it's so interesting that our biggest threat is actually ourselves.
Yeah, and I feel like saying that all the shaking of the trees that's happening outside in the world, and there's a lot, even if much of it is made up, and there's a lot of shaking of the trees. That's like an effect. Let's just say that's on the macrocosm. On the microcosm, imagine if that I was shaking the trees all the time, creating disturbance, financial pressures, health issues,
potential war,
social issues. Well, but even in that's more sort of the macro.
Okay.
But in the micro, if I can create that, then I am I'm winning on both fronts. And so maybe if we can do the thing of bringing ourselves into balance, despite the clanging and the noise that's going on out there, then we have the best
I don't think
way
it's
of
even
getting
despite.
ourselves through the next level.
I honestly read that the outside is a mirror. That's it's so tough for people.
Well, it's a tough one for me to swallow, really.
It's so tough because we want someone to blame for
Well,
it.
because for me, it's like just taking the heel prick at birth or other things that are stones that are thrown into the pond to create the ripples in the first place. Now, maybe that's on purpose, but those things are external, creating the ripples. And as you say, it wasn't your fault that someone threw stones in there, but it is now your responsibility to still calm those waters. And so it kind of, and so if they keep throwing stones in and you are not calming those waters, then the waters are only getting choppier.
The interesting thing, though, is that we're born with those lessons already in our chart.
Yeah.
They're already in threaded into our DNA or into our Akashic record or into our here's our little boy. They're already triggered or enlivened on birth.
Yeah. So Graham's number is super duper big.
Graham's number is super big.
So big that if your brain actually comprehended it, it would turn into a black hole.
Really?
Literally turn into a black hole.
Your brain would turn into a black hole?
Yeah.
Well, that's a fascinating topic. Anyway, he's talking about Graham's number. Is that G64?
Yep.
Wow. It's such a massive number. It makes Google look like a fraction.
No, it literally makes... So, of course, there's the fake observable universe.
Yes. Yeah, the fake observable universe.
Then there's Planck length.
The Planck length?
If there was one Planck length for every digit in the observable universe,
Fake universe, yeah.
it would still not get to that number.
Wow.
It would still not be that number.
That's monumental. Very huge. Well, black holes is an interesting subject or an interesting topic. And this idea of us being on...
That's what apparently would happen.
Okay, apparently, because we can't obviously test that ourselves, can we?
Obviously, because you physically can't.
Yeah.
In fact, most people can't even comprehend a billion.
True, it's such a big number.
I think I can.
Well, I'm going to carry on.
1 million seconds is like about something.
People
like
are saying hello to you.
23 years?
Squirrel
30,
Sniper saying
33.
hello. Holistic Media is saying so adorable.
Hey,
Shades
Ziggy.
is,
Hey, Ziggy.
or
Who
people
called me Ziggy?
say, my name's not Ziggy, what's your name?
Who called me
That was
Ziggy?
Nathan. Well, Ziggy, Zizi, I suppose.
I
it's,
guess.
You know, who else called you Ziggy the other day was Karen from Sun and Moon family.
Yeah. Well, Ziggy and Zizi.
Cool nickname.
Thanks. Beautiful hair, says Hippie Shake.
Oh, beautiful cat. Thanks. That's the first time that happens to me almost every day.
Yeah, you do get a lot of
So
compliments.
wise for his age.
That's what we think you get when you're allowed to learn more freely, is that you get the ability to have the spectrum.
You know, Alex Michael just said, that reminds me, I need a new mop.
That's too funny! You can use me as a mop.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's not for everyone.
Yeah.
But he's, his sovereign autonomy is that he wants his hair like this.
That's so cool. That's really cool. So it's like delayed.
Yeah, it's delayed a
It
few.
looks delayed.
It's about 6 seconds or 5 seconds delayed or something.
That's really cool.
So do you want to say
It's
anything
easy.
to everybody until we, and then we'll carry on with
That's
what we're
right, your
talking
name,
about.
so they know how to spell it.
Yeah.
Would you like to say anything, Zizi?
That's the name.
Zizi, baby?
That's
Baby?
what the name.
Talk to the camera. Talk to the camera. Do you want to say something?
I know what to say.
Well, why don't you just tell them like the first 4 digits of pi?
I can say the first 6.
All right, go on then.
3.14159.
Nice.
You love a bit of pie, don't you?
Now
He likes a bit of pie.
Yeah.
now I will disappear into
Infinity.
Go into
Yeah, Nora, he is pretty bright. He was bright then when we spent time together on the camper van on the Glow of Light tour, but and you've seen him since then, of course. Probably the last time was York or wherever we were on the 20. When did we do a tour? In 23? We didn't do anything last year tour-wise. I've got some plans to tour. And just, you know, try and find the right niche, because I want to find a way of communicating with people without it needing to be so contentious. I know obviously Flat Earth gets people's attention and so on, but I want to reach people such that they're not immediately. Well, yeah, but at the same time, you know, like it's like when if you said to a 3-year-old, "Oh, this is pi and this is what it means," that would be too much information too soon. Whereas Zizi can handle that, and the same is with information in the street. You're dealing with people who are so far away from the,
would it not,
for us, when it's taken us a year or 6 months or 3 months and years of other stuff in the truth seeking, but just for Flat Earth, we've all had to go through that transition, and it's a long way, and once you're on the other side, you go, oh well, you look back, it's like so easy, can't you see it? And of course it's not possible for people to see it. And now I'm just thinking, like, it is a case of being, like, judging a person by their actions. Take Squirrel Sniper, for example. If he's dealing with his client base, he's a good tree surgeon, if anyone needs a tree surgeon near Brighton. If he's dealing with his clients in a particular way, that's either going to draw them in or repel them magnetically, yeah? And I think that's where I prefer to be. And I just wanted to, while I've got the mic, say that I've been on like a real still few days, week, maybe more, and I'm relishing that. I know that there is so much clanging and banging going on in the world. I know that people are being misled, MAGA, slagger, hagger, bagger. They're all, Doge, that's another one. And all the extraterrestrial out there and blah, 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 blah. There's so much noise going on, and I could spend a lot of time trying to understand all of these things. I'm grateful that there are a few people who collate some of this stuff sometimes, and you just, okay, I'll, spend 20 minutes or an hour maybe watching something to get a rounded view of it. But more stillness, and less noise. Not always achievable. And right now where we're staying actually is quite close to a busy road, so when you're outside it's a bit noisy.
Well, when I was in the bath earlier, it sounded like bees.
Yeah.
The noise is like this buzzing of just in the background.
Yeah, and so, but still, you can still have that stillness despite that noise, and
Can I offer you something with regard to that? I think that when you're in stillness, then you're more in acceptance of. To be in stillness, you have to be in acceptance of as things are right now in the moment yourself. And if there isn't, there's curiosity around that. But more stillness requires us to be present and just accepting what's here in front of us. Then surely the same is with people that we encounter. With people we encounter, because the stillness is hopefully bringing you back to yourself, and therefore back to being able to hear and listen and all those things. So would it not be the same then on the outside? Is that people that we encounter, we're so desperate to have them wake up and to know, and I think sometimes the most impactful experience is when you're just lovingly listening and in total acceptance of who they are and where they are, instead of trying to fix it or change it. And so when we talk to people, can we just meet them when they are? And a lot of the time when we do that, they offer us a question or a thought or, you know, the conversation leads to something, whether it just be like a really low level conversation about water or, you know, about they'll bring up their woes and, you know, you can then offer something. But when we go in there with that sort of superiority kind of righteousness, like you need to know this and I'm doing it for you, and I need you to be different and not who you are right now in this moment, then that's coming from a very different place.
And does that sound cliched, but like you're not honoring their journey? Humanity has been dropped in Shawshank prison, and most of us are accustomed and acclimatized to prison life. Alex, Michael and I were talking about the ability to travel freely across the land. We don't have that, and we have all this nationalism and identity parades, people believing in all of that stuff, you know, and I don't know where I was going with that.
Well, we were talking about, you know, meeting people where they're at, and you know, and I think the most effective, you know, we had so much effect on people in South Africa, for instance, when we were there, the homeless people, by just giving them time and actually looking them in the eye and treating them like they were no different to us, because they're not. And we had the most impact. And so sometimes I think it's more our own ego that thinks and wants to save someone or fix someone or change someone, rather than just being an acceptance. And the only way I believe you find peace and stillness is when you're in acceptance of yourself, when you have compassion for yourself, when you have love for yourself. And if you don't, certainly be curious and want to explore that and be prepared to go to those places that we are sort of not wanting to look at or hide from, and vice versa. Be the beacon, be the lighthouse.
Speaking of that, we're in Norfolk. When I say we're, Andrea and I in Norfolk on the 17th of next month, April. Simon, our friend over there, is sort of has a Thursday meetup with a handful of friends, and so we thought we would try and encourage a few other people to come along and meet up if they happen to be near the Norfolk area on the 17th of April. So let me know if you need any more information. There is a flyer on my, what do they call it, the notice board on Facebook. I mean YouTube. There is a community board, yeah. I do actually have a Facebook account, but
or Instagram. You've got it on your Instagram account as well, so people can find you there. It's a public page.
Yeah.
So
it's a pub called The Cock, and okay. So I wanted to say what just came to mind there. It does make me think of all the strange shenanigans going on in the FE community. It would be remiss not to at least broach some of that. I mean, I'm not following it. Like I said, you know, I'm in a much more peaceful place and not wanting to necessarily, follow all the drama and, some could say nonsense of what's going on.
Well, for me, it's how nasty people are with it. It's one thing to disagree with someone, but when we start getting really nasty, and it says a lot about the people that are projecting.
But the thing is that I know. But to be fair, like I said to Alex Michael, 3 or 5 years ago, you could have had Jaren come around for dinner or stay because he was over in Europe, and you guys knew each other, and in theory, you guys could have spent a weekend together or whatever. And I think a lot of people are understandably hurt by that. And of course, the movement itself is, not that we need to be surprised, and people have always said for years that there are certain people acting on behalf of agencies within the movement. But that there is a period of anger, and I mean, what I don't understand, I won't even get into which side is
If I'm honest, I think that the whole if we want to use the label flat Earth is a psyop. That has been manipulated from the very beginning, perhaps.
From the creation of the flat Earth
Because
society.
actually, well, whatever. I mean, I don't know what, when, how, but actually, I think it's the dishwasher. I think it's in. I think it's meant. What's going on is meant, and it's we're in an energetic time when anything fake is not. Not going to.
It's not going to, maybe not going to survive it, or it has to be outed, it has to be exposed. But it also, the timing of the popcorn, of all the clanging and banging that I mentioned that's going on there. This is sort of, it's fits in line with people who are reading the economy stuff, going, oh, the economy is doing this. I believe Tesla shares are down 5,000%. This is doing this. The crypto people are stressed about, CBDC and blah blah blah, and these people are stressed about this, and these people are stressed, and then in the flat Earth, Zen community, because we're so Zen already, aren't we? There has been this incendiary device thrown right into the middle of it. It has obviously, for me, been timed to create a ripple at an important moment. And so, do we want that ripple to be out of control, or are we going to be controlling that ripple? And
I don't think you need to control anything. I think you need to with the world. You have to let it play out. The control. I don't like the word control. The opportunity for each individual is like, how is it making me feel? How's it making me feel? And this is an opportunity. Absolutely an opportunity. And it's just got to play out. If you can be just an observer, but if you feel anything, then that's pointing to something for yourself, for your inner work.
Well, that's it. I mean, it's truly is about the inner work, friends. Truly. And I think this comment from David. I just biked around Toronto and people look beaten by their government in a state of Stockholm syndrome, and I sort of hear that anecdotally. I feel that a bit when we go to towns and places around and about, and it does feel like we're walking in shadows and.
But that's because everybody's living from their minds, aren't they? That's why it's government.
Yes, but there has been this new trauma and the Stockholm Syndrome, this new trauma placed upon the people of Earth now, and it's hard to really quantify how that's altered us at the deeper soul level. I feel like, because we talk about bifurcation, right? Well, how do you create bifurcation? But by altering at least one direction, one path. And I feel that's right, David. I think that's what you're picking up on. And I mean, a lot of people are going around their business and doing their lives like they used to do it, and so on, and keeping the things, the tennis club and the weekly meet with the tea lady and blah blah blah, all of that. They're keeping that stuff going. But I think there's something. The spark has kind of been damaged for humanity.
I liked what that Nicole was saying from Law of the Luminaries about, we're all, this plane is, the plane of inertia is where that energy or light, and correct me if I'm saying it wrong, it pauses, and that's where we get the material realm, and we come into material, and it's all about harmony. And when things are in disharmony, then that's when disease and obviously we're seeing massive disharmony in the world, right? And what it is, it's when that toxic frequency, because it's all energy, when that toxic frequency is not in harmony with our natural selves. So even those things that are going on, when we take them in, because the stuff that's going on in the world is purely based on information. It's purely based on a thought narrative create from an imagination, right? That's how it works here. It's like, and this is where we can start to take responsibility for that. So when people are taking in that frequency of fear and doom and whatever, it's against who we really are. It's in disharmony. And so that's what I think we experience. If you have been doing the work, or you are finding ways to be connected to nature and to yourself, and you're trying to eat stuff that's harmonious, and you're clearing parasites, and you're doing all those things that nature always wants to find balance, always try and find balance. And I think what we experience when we go into these areas is where what we're seeing is something, but it's what we're feeling. We're feeling that lower energy of people who are, we're talking about this from an emotional point of view. If you're this Taurus field, which we are, the micro of the macro, and you have got emotions that are stuck, you just become this really, really heavy energy. And that's what you emanate. You emanate sadness, you emanate fear, you emanate, and I'm not making any of those bad, by the way. I'm just saying that when we again, it goes back to, if we've been traumatized, or we have trauma, or we have stuff happen to us, and there's emotion that is stuck, that isn't able to be in flow and move, then you're obviously going to be this heavy being. And I think that's what we experience.
Well, does this fit with what you were saying? Gaining wisdom says, like the cymatic images, when shifting from one pattern to the next frequency, not a single stone or grain of sand is not unturned until a new pattern emerges. Order from chaos. Ordo ab chaos.
I mean, that's the whole yin yang is. The yin yang is the dance, isn't it? It's the dark and the light dancing. But nature, and that's the same in our body. That's why I truly believe that viruses are, there's something that's in us that realizes, there's something off here. Let's kick off some flu, so that we can bring everything back into balance, and so we get the stuff coming out, the clearing, the purging, and whatever, and then the body hopefully comes back into balance. But we're really hit with a lot of it.
Well, and we don't realize that we're constantly being bombarded, even while we're trying to repair in a hospital and at home as well. We're under these unnatural lights, and the modern LED lights are apparently way worse. So, we're in unnatural conditions. Our environment has changed. And of course, the environment of the world has changed. Think how you feel about, like, for example, if all of a sudden they said, like, you can't carry a certain thing that you used to be able to carry on the plane, like, your underwear. You can't carry underwear anymore on the plane, and you really want to take a pair of underwear with you on your holiday, which is fair enough. And you've got this pair like stuck, underneath the bottom of your suitcase, and you're hoping, inside, you're hoping that they don't pick it up on the scanner and all that sort of thing. And it's changed altogether your relationship with you know, that whole experience just by them putting another kind of stipulation down. And so that's what we're seeing in the world, is like stipulation after stipulation.
What do you think that creates in the body when something like so you're told you can't do something, and you either scared so you don't do it at all, so you submit, or you rebel, or you go into resistance. What do you think happens in the body?
Cortisol. High
Well,
levels of
cortisol,
stress.
but the nervous system, which is a vibration, it's a the nervous system is a frequency. Is that we go into the fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. I maintain that actually we're probably in that all the time, and when you're in that all the time, that's when you're in dysregulation all the time, that's when our inflammatory markers go up. You know, during the last 4 years, all the stuff that was being put out into the ether about what was happening, people would have been triggered, they would have been dysregulated, and then when you test that, of course you're going to get inflammatory markers.
Sure.
But more importantly is that it's not bad to be dysregulated. It's that we need to have ways to go into rest and digest, because that's when the balance is found. And so if someone says to you, you can't do this thing, and then you're either you're scared or you're doing something, then you're going to be fight, flight, freeze, or fawn.
Yeah. Yes. And so we're constantly on alert, and that's, I mean, I can speak with, you know, the scars to show of, you know, spending years, years without all the paperwork required for driving, you know, legally, and insurance and licenses and things like that. And it carries a certain weight, you know, and you don't freely, like, you know, back in my innocent days of not knowing anything about 9/11 or anything else, you know, how you just jump in the car and off you'd poodle, you know. Now it's like, oh my God, you know, it became like that, where you're having to have a whole mental thing, and then the cars with the lights on come behind you, and you're thinking they're going to pull me now. And you got all of that whole...
But you're now in resistance, aren't you? Before you submitted, now you're in resistance. You're really still not free, are you? Because you're now in the fight, whereas you were just blindly going along. And there's another way. Freedom is freedom of the mind. It's the freedom of the body-mind that's already in you, operating and keeping you in a certain way of being. And yes, the outside is looshing that. It's manipulating, it's using it to its advantage.
And you did that so well in Shawshank Redemption, didn't he? Where I know obviously he bucked the system by playing the music and did one or two other things to raise the ire of the warden, but in the end he just quietly went along with his plan, while sort of just making sort of really not putting himself on the radar too much, and doing the work that he needed to do to quietly and stillly by himself. And it is that inner journey in a way, you know. It's that inner time. None of us can be there but you. And then the only way to God is through you. So the only way to, like I was saying to this lawyer today, you know, in Afrikaans the word God is spelled H-E-R-E. Here. We don't pronounce it here. In Afrikaans we say Here. But it's here. God is here. And, you know, and we will not find that God whilst there is so much noise clattering on out there and noise clattering in here. And, you know, it's not to say we need to be sitting on a Buddhist temple mount for 30 years, eating 3 grains of rice per day, drinking a thimbleful of water, and etc., accepting alms from old ladies. No, we don't need to do it like that. I don't think so. I think we can still hang out at Alex Michael's place and have a bit of a party, a bit of a shindig. There'll be a bar and me cooking some really good burgers. So one way of seeing it. we lost OBS Studio. I don't know whether that means we lost. Oh, no, I think we're good. Hi, Tony, NDB. And, and Jolly Man, nice to see you. What I was going to say is, bollocks. Throw me a bone there, baby.
Well, you were talking about Puritan, and I said that it's a form of bypassing. Puritan, you know, when we're not willing to be with the darkness and the shadow and the hard and the grief and the, you know, and it has to all be love, light, and vice versa. But it's not. You can't have one without the other, you know. I think that Nicole in that Law of the Luminaries also spoke about that. You know, the way that the energy goes in and out around the torus, it's that blue red. So you know, it's that there's negative and positive, and it's required. It's part of this realm. So it's not about not, you know, being only in one state. Do we have periods of bliss, and then, you know, that's the seasons. The seasons are a perfect example. We've just come through the dead of winter, and now we're coming into, you know, things starting to move. Happy New Year, by the way. Aries is, in my opinion, the start of New Year, and we've just had a little bit of it. It's going to feel a little bit more like that in a week's time, when we have a new moon, so seed planting time, new moon in Aries, and the solar eclipse, and then the day after that we have Neptune, who's been in Pisces for 14 years, moves into Aries, and then I think a month later Saturn will move into Aries, so we'll have lots of Aries energy. And you know, Aries is the initiator. Aries wants to get moving, but it can also be the warrior. It can be the, you know, it can be fierce. It can be frustration. So, you know, again, it has both sides to it. But yeah, we're in Aries Sun, so there's already a little bit of that.
All right. Well, I just want to touch back on the Puritan versus hedonist. The last thing that I would want to do really is to be judging people for being Puritan or for being hedonists. Again, it's their journey, and we all have Puritan, we all have the, what do you call it, the dictator. We all have these archetypes within us. We have the dictator and the, what are the five main there's the three. It's the three. It's the dictator, or as another word, the oppressor, the victim, and the savior. Right. So we all have these, but we have these archetypes, and we have all elements of light and dark within us. And for various reasons, some people feel compelled to seek more light, and that's where they're at, and others want to seek more dark. Martin Kenny used to say himself, you know, we can be extremists for the light, you know, and extremists for the dark.
Well, again, it's about harmony, isn't it?
Yeah, and so, you know, the maybe the ideal is to achieve balance, but that's not to say that you're flatlining. You know, there's going to be like this wave in and out, and to say that I'm the one that judges what is the level of, you know, whatever, and that it, you know, if you're so much the Puritan, it's like, it may not be for me. You know, I don't want to live a Puritan lifestyle, but I also do not want to live an extreme hedonistic lifestyle either. You know, I do want to be somewhere, you know, more in the balance. But I've certainly touched the hedonistic elements of the self, you know, and you know, I can't be ashamed of that, and I can't be judgmental of others who are coming through the ranks of that, because it is something that perhaps we have to walk through to a greater or lesser extent, depending on the individual circumstance.
Well, from my coaching point of view, it's like saying, I'm doing the yoga, I'm doing the healthy eating, I'm doing the meditation, but yet I still feel stuck. And it's not to say that the yoga and the healthy eating and the meditation is you shouldn't be doing it. But if you're not doing the other stuff, then you're kind of bypassing it onto that. It's like it's the yin and yang, right? If you're always in the doing and you're not in the feeling, and vice versa, if you're always in the feeling and not in the doing, then
it makes me think of the sort of bacteria hygiene virus, kind of idea, and that is that in terrain theory you're all about getting in with the dirt and getting into the environment and so on, and that being what keeps you healthy. In germ theory, it's all about sterilizing everything and just obliterating every germ. And I think that in both cases, you can end up becoming unwell by obliterating all the germs and also being dirty. Actually, one of the things that scurvy and all sorts of ailments, I believe, childhood ailments particularly, were resolved by improved hygiene. So I think there is a balance to be struck with all of these things, and not just be an extremist in one direction or another.
It's the same as being human and yet you're spiritual. We're here having human experience, and with all the messiness and imperfections that journey entails. But yet we're also this incredibly magnificent. And we're part of something already whole and already pure, but it's about the balance of both, and not being attached to either out of balance with either is what I'm trying to say. But it's you're right. It's that's where messy comes in, because sometimes I'm going to be doing too much of that thing, and then hopefully I'm listening to my body and that it feels out of alignment. Then I'm like, okay, I need to, stillness is something that's been calling you, and it's actually feeding you. It's nourishing you now.
Because there can be so much stuff going on in the head and not enough stuff going on in the body.
Well, we live in a world that wants you to do instead of bring balance. I mean, we see that in the way that our calendar operates. There isn't any time in the year where we're like, oh, well, this is the time of the year that you're actually
slow down.
You can slow down and you can work less hours and.
Yeah. Oh, Mighty Atom, nice to see you, mate. It's been a while. I see. Dave Murphy's name popped up here. Andrea's given him some medical attention in the past. We've spent quite a lot of time with Dave Murphy over the years now.
Was a friend.
Yeah. And in fact, he saw one of these lives the other day and wrote that he was sorry to have missed it. He was out and about. But we have had him on this channel before.
We have, yes, and we'd love to chat him again.
Yeah, maybe twice actually. But we I think he was talking about his 4D stuff, and now he's more it's gone the next dimension. So we're into 5D. We do live in a fractal universe, one in which everything is. I mean, it's crazy. When I was on the DMT in 2015, I took the DMT, and we're now almost exactly. Well, it was May 2015, so it would be 10 years ago. And that, I saw everything, our universe, as like this kind of built, I don't want to say hologram. Did I say that the last time? But that's what I kind of, it's like it's just it's just a light show, and we perceive it as hard material, and that's where we live, on this place where light is slowed right down in the plane of inertia, a plane where things have slowed down. Light has been reduced to slow vibration. And to get to that, actually, coming back to, was it David who was saying that earlier on about this order out of chaos? Well, if, as Zizi was talking about, and thanks to the comment, DJ, I forget now, but it was NDB. Thanks for your comment about children being bright. He is a bright spark. But children are naturally learners and great, and smart. We do interfere with them a lot on their way through these days. Anyway, oh my God. I shouldn't be interrupting myself at the moment. Oh yeah. So no, just that. So out of order, out of chaos is like to have a black hole setting, and to for the hyperboloid to kind of come through the torus and then smash into the black hole or something like that, be crushed into a plane of inertia. It's like, imagine a plasma hitting a lead wall, and it just goes like this, and it's creating this plane of inertia, this plane where the light is slowed down, and eventually it'll break down again. All of that stuff will return to light speed, like the fire over here. That's energy being returned from its sort of so-called material slowness or inertia to here's explosion, here's heat and light.
But it also for me gives us the insight to possibility, because anything's possible then. Anything can be created, because if our thoughts are also part of that frequency, whatever we think we can create, or whatever is emanating from us, we will create. But it doesn't this consciousness doesn't have a good or bad, or it's neutral. So and actually it's abundant. So if we truly believe it, either way we can create it. And I know that's harder than we think, because
abundance awaits.
There's been so much programming, there's so much limitation, and actually yet we don't live in a realm of limitation. We live in a realm of perceived limitation.
Yeah. Thanks for that. Alex Michael says, I like the Shawshank analogy. Thanks, mate. The Shawshank analogy it's got so much of our story, I think, written in.
We watched it again recently, didn't we?
We
a couple
did,
of months ago with Luke. He had never seen it before.
Yeah, so
and it still was.
Yeah, still worth watching. But we should be looking out for the beautiful things, and the more what you focus on is what you kind of, your world is just showing you. And I know this from my own fears of things that are out there, that if I focus on them, then they're much more powerful.
Can I offer you, though, from my work, is that when we have unconscious decisions, we make unconscious decisions about ourselves very, very young, perhaps even, not perhaps, I believe even in the womb. And of course we're taking on that energy of our lineage. Then you already are distinguishing the world from that place. So that's where the work is. It's the untangling and the dissolving of, or the completing and the bringing to wholeness of all that is out of balance or not aligned, or a belief system or programming or conditioning. And I truly believe that's why we are alive in this time. That's why we're here. We're here to do that journey of remembrance. I think perhaps that's known by those that are in the know, or certainly think they're in the know. And it is truly an incredible time of remembrance. But it does require us to do the work and to create presence and stillness so that we can hear, because it said beautifully, the mind shouts, but the heart whispers. And I believe that wisdom comes from a much, from the heart. In fact, on that alphabetic thing, I only watched it yesterday, so it's quite fresh in my mind, and it brought a lot of clarity for me. And that when the heart is the first thing that is created, or that manifests, and then from the heart, the other organs are sort of a manifestation of, or they serve a purpose for the heart. So yeah, I think when we can return to that metaphysical heart, return to that frequency of love, then you've spoken a lot about the heart being where we find it's like the bridge between the heavens and the earth.
It is, and it might be like, just talking off the cuff, but it might be like the link, the heart, the earth, the connection, the plane of inertia, the center of all that is. And I was just seeing comments there from David and others about Mac, Flat Earth Fokker, who obviously left us a few years ago. Very surprising. It's easy to look back and say, the guy carried a ton load of stress. He was an absolute warrior for truth. The CV19 thing, he kicked it up to the next level. He had, now all of a sudden he had an army around him to rally and stuff like that. He was amazing. I have such fond memories of communicating with him, talking to him on his often live streams from his workplace.
He was the one that used to do this.
You sound like Darth Vader. We were still back in our house back in 2018, I'm going to say, maybe 2019 as well. Well, definitely 2019, but 2018 probably, where I'd be up early in the morning, very early, and he'd still be streaming in Canada, and I'd either join the chat and he'd be, "Hey, Dave, Trinity." We only chatted a few times, but he had a big heart, that guy, and I know some people said that Jake the asshole was quoted there, who, I think the name says it all. I struggle to kind of follow anything that guy says, and but that he was truly one of the the lions of the truth kind of movement. And yeah, I'd like to think that he was 100%. Same with Bob Nodell, by the way. He also went with heart. It was a heart thing. And I don't know, it's Squirrel. Bob actually offered us a place to stay back in 2020, I think, during the lockdowns and stuff, if we could get over to I think Colorado or whatever he and Cami were living in at the time. But broken heart, and when we've maybe put so much effort, poured so much of our lamp oil into something outside of us, it's not to diminish the importance of knowing the truth, but not at the expense. It's got to be from the overflow of your cup, not from a drained cup. And I think that might be what it was. You know, it might even be, I saw Antonio Subaret's name in the chat a moment ago, and it might have been the same with him, you know. You know, is it possible that the English contingent have got their own, you know, double speakers amongst us? Yeah.
Well, and we've had some, we know of people in the UK in the community that have also passed as well. So, but you know, I think that and I say this with love, and
Mickey Walkbanger. That's what I say
from,
his name.
And from our own journey, right? That we that it's a journey of so many pieces of the puzzle, and just because we know that we live on a plane and not on a ball, doesn't mean we have found all the pieces to the puzzle.
Well, we know that the establishment is deeply misled and misleading. You know, so we know that it's easy to kind of. That's why there's very few people in the FE community that would have, you know, given two hoots about this cartoon CGI little, you know, ball with little sticks coming out of it, and gotten frightened by that. You know, because you know that it's coming from the mouths of deceivers, so you're not going to give it the credence. It doesn't mean that doesn't then cause shopkeepers. And I remember being in Bournemouth, taking Zizi. You know, up until lockdowns, you know, an important part of his education was taking him to the shop, weighing things, looking at prices. He was 2.5, 3 years old. Excuse me, almost 3 years old at that time. And so going to the shop was a very important part of our education, his education. And
we did that less though, didn't we?
All of a sudden that was reduced. But I did take him into a fruit and veg shop one day. And he's picking up the veggies and stuff like he normally does and gently putting them back down again, no harm. And this woman was scowling at him, the shop assistant, and may have even said something to me. I can't remember now, but it was like, wow, that was harsh. That, you know, and that's what we did to each other just by a mind virus, and which is why they can create enmity amongst.
Was it just because of a mind virus? I think it was what they were putting out there. Yes, it's a new story, but what they were putting out there was triggering certain traumas in us, and then people were reacting from that place.
Yeah.
You know, and that's and to some degree that's all of us, right? Yeah. You know, all of us. We were in some way, shape, or form. I think there was things going on, whether it was connected to that outside stuff. If you speak to people from 2020, maybe even before that, but 2020 certainly, people have, you know, it's been the long dark, and it continues.
I thought about something that happened for us during that time, that even though we knew what we knew, sometimes knowledge can be actually harmful. Because we knew what we knew and we believe what we believe. By 2021, when we were going to South Africa, so that's April 2021, we're still in the thick of flattening the curve, and 3 weeks, and we were leaving for South Africa and saying goodbye to Luke, our son, who was in second year uni. I remember being on his street outside of his house and saying goodbye and thinking I might not see him again. And he knew that we thought that the possibility was we wouldn't be able to get back from South Africa, that the world was being locked down tight, and so on. And okay, we were wrong about that. And but we put him through a trauma based on, because, you know, if you were just fully believing all the media, you would still think, you'd be like, okay, and, you know, reasonably, they're eventually going to let us lock down, get everybody needled up, and we'll be good. So, you know, there was obviously a for most people, this idea that it was going to end. But everybody, or many people had their traumas. That was one of mine.
Yeah, I mean, I think most people we've spoken to, that in some way they had to experience something, or something was triggered for them. Whether they have nothing to do with the outside, whether it had to do with work or finances, or businesses that they were running, or whatever it was. And of course, I can look at the astrology and see that. See the reason for that, and of course that affects the collective, but it also affects us personally.
Yeah, nice to see you, Red Herring Media. Samyaza. Samyaza, I kind of agree with your comment. Jaren is of mediocre intellect. Now, I obviously have had my own conversation with Jaren only one time, and I was really hoping, and this is the crazy thing of how we're being led, is that I was offered the opportunity to share my idea on how curvature would be much greater on a globe the size they say it is, or in any sphere, the curvature is a certain amount, and I wanted to raise that as a way of helping the message given to globe believers that the globe is unrealistic if you really understand how it would be, because we don't live on a ball. Of course, they could say it's 8 inches per mile squared, and I know the maths for a straight line of a ball, etc., etc. Anyway, the point is that I did wonder over the years that this was it wasn't like the most exceptional mind that seemed to have 100,000 subscribers for but I don't want to be like bitter or whatever, and it may be, I think there was Nora and others were saying, I'm not sure whether a guy like that was always in it to leave, and therefore a controlled agent, or some pressure was put on him because of some other things which people have made it's to do with crypto and whatnot, and I in a way it would be nicer if it was the latter, but realistically, how cool that we weren't controlling, and if we need to learn lessons about where someone like Jaren has been, we've gone to him as a kind of group leader or whatever, let's invite him to our conference kind of thing. Maybe we've got to learn from that.
Can I offer something, an alternative view, is that instead of focusing so much on what Jaren is or isn't, because you may never know, it's like, what is it bringing up for you? And I would suspect, having witnessed this and having had to look at my own triggers and where the root of those are, and that's where my biggest healing is, and therefore my biggest opportunities for freedom and peace and stillness and connection is that I would suspect that many people, particularly in Flat Earth and in the truth community, have a deep wound of betrayal. And this is very triggering in that sense, because here is someone that a lot of people trusted, a lot of people gave their energy or their heart to even, and their energy to, and he has flip-flopped. Now, you could spend the rest of your days having a conversation about why, and you may never know. Or you can be with that part of you that's where the opportunity, where the golden nugget of this is.
Yeah.
And this is what I mean by mirror.
Yeah.
You know, this people, we think that the people that we're in relationship with, and I don't mean just intimate relationship, I mean anybody, that they're got to give us something, and therefore they can take something away. Well, what if they're just there to bump into us, to connect with us, but bump into us, and either evoke love or evoke something else in us. And you know, so yes, the question is, how much did you give away to these people? How much of your power, how much of your energy, whatever, to these people? And therefore now we feel like he's taken it away. What are we feeling? Are we feeling let down? Are we feeling betrayed? And I would suspect that those experiences, being let down or betrayed or not heard or not seen or whatever, we're already operating there. And often we magnetize experiences into our world. And so that's the opportunity, because you could discuss for many, many weeks, many, many months, maybe even years, why they did this. I think what's more important is
what came up for you.
What came up for you, but also maybe the biggest part is like that I need to learn to trust my own discernment when it comes to not necessarily people or energies, but what feels truthful and most aligned for me.
Yeah.
Because there's always going to be muddying. I mean, my goodness me, the information out there. Here's an example. My sister's been unwell, and yes, it could have had implications from past experiences that happened. But, you know, 1 minute she'll read something that says it's this, or do this, or take this, or use this, this will be it. And then she will hear the complete counter to that. Or she said today, I don't even bother going to look at what a symptom is anymore, because I will just be bombarded with a whole lot of doom and gloom. So the age of information, it's like, and so how am I able to take what resonates and leave what doesn't, and also be okay with the iteration of myself that knew one thing and then now know something different. So I think it's an opportunity for us to sort of bring our power back. It's very Aries, actually. You know, it's about bringing that energy back. It's about being independent. That's not to say, oh, we will just push everybody away. We are beings that want interdependence
and we want
connection.
genuine connection, which is partly what this is, and you know, what the opportunity is to get together with people in Spain in September at Alex Michael's thing, or a few other things like the one we've got coming up in Durham in Norfolk. I really want to try and make better connections with people, but at the end of the day, and community matters, and there are people here who care about each other in the chat. They see each other in other chat spaces, and you know, there is a sense of community. Some of you know each other personally, and you know, I think that we need to be strong enough to weather the kind of the noise that's coming from without and from within, say even within this community. You know, take the good and spit out the bad. But here's someone who, if I can just sort of quickly sideline and talk about Mighty Atom, whose ex is dying with MND after the Safe and Effective. You might remember that our story really kicks off in 2011 with my mother's diagnosis with MND. And I now think that it's possible that she was she'd had too many pokes herself, because she was a nurse working with people with HIV and did a lot of that. And I think the sort of health and safety protocol for people who are in that industry are, you take some pokes every now and again, antiretrovirals or whatever, just in case you've had some kind of so I do start to wonder about that. But I'm sorry to hear about your
it's one of the most
devastating
illnesses. I think that it has to be probably the most devastating, because currently there is no certainly mainstream, there is no it's a death sentence basically. It's not even like cancer where
there's a possibility 50%, whatever, blah blah blah.
It is, and it literally strips every bit of your life from you. So yes, devastating. I do honestly believe that there are actually ways to heal it, but they are quite radical and don't fully understand them. But I know of doctors that are not in the mainstream, not in allopathic medicine, that are working with people with ALS or MND and are having results. But in the main, it's one of those things that once you get that diagnosis, it's I can't really say. I mean, obviously it was a very devastating experience. That being said, we were only saying the other day that it's interesting how grief, and Nathan, I know, is grieving his mother at the moment, and how that becomes a portal. And it certainly was that for us, wasn't it? The cascade or the ripple effect of your mother's passing in our lives was massive.
Yeah, there's a lot of positives to be drawn from her passing, and believing what I do about the passing and the being in the ether in the whole, is that there may be the being or the soul or the higher self is continuing and having a good day, but also that there is this Akashic record idea that everything is being stored in the same cloud, as it were, and so they're actually somehow able to experience what you experience. But so I think it's, for me, it was I wish my mother was still with us, and she'd be 81 now, and all good. I do wish that, but her moving on from the mortal life, although I think it was brought about, for me anyway. I know that there's some people say everything's written ahead of time. I think that interventions in lifetimes can shorten things. We understand that. So sorry about and I wish we could offer more in terms of being sure about what alternative things, because for us, there's a story to do with parasites and things that are occurring in the body that mainstream will see as plaque, but it's actually some kind of living organism that could be eradicated through some fairly extreme, cleansing protocol. But people need to be willing to go on that journey, and if they lined up for the quackery in 2021, then it's a long way back.
Well, it's certainly not. It's not the easy choice, is it?
Yeah. Lunderground says, who's a smart guy himself, says Bob Nodell is clearly much smarter than Jaron. Sorry for dragging us back into that part of the conversation. Squirrel says, it's not until after the trauma we can look back and reflect we were right to be cautious, but still able to heal after the event. Think like when you're cutting a tree, mate. The mistakes that you make on this tree, you will learn from and perhaps make less of the next time around. And so you become a proficient tree surgeon. And I think that that's what all of these things can be for us is that rather than being a destructive learning or experience, they are showing us something. And if the driver flashes in front of you and you feel like you need to hit your horn or whatever, and you're kind of like, that's made you so boil inside, then it's the time to reflect and go, well, why did it make me feel that way? What am I feeling that makes me feel that way?
Well, I can honestly say I mean, I feel like my journey has been longer than just the last 4 years, but the extraordinary depth of opportunity and experience that I've had in the last 4 years, and don't get me wrong, it's been excruciating at times and very uncomfortable, but equally, I can truly say that I'm not the same person and that I was 4 years ago.
You had to walk through over the coals.
Yes, and I had to commit to no one coming to save me, or no one going, okay, it was my fault. That I had to, I had to step in and say, no, it's my responsibility.
It is, but no man is an island, and I see Dr. Lars in the chat, and there's an example of someone who has been a stalwart of this community and has helped people, including us, in magnificent ways, and so it's true we have to do the work ourselves, but we do need sustenance. And
well, I say I've done the work, but actually, and I have done the work, but actually, I've had coaches and my husband and people around me and people in this community who have supported us, and friends, and that have definitely been supportive and necessary, and I couldn't have done it without it. But it had to be me that faced my shadows. It had to be me that sat with the pain. No one could do that part for me.
If you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and make that change.
You'll have to sing that at Alex Michael's.
Yeah.
Although he doesn't do Michael Jackson, does he?
Oh, maybe not. Racist.
Well, musicist.
Yeah. No, hopefully we'll be getting some karaoke going at Alex Michael's thing in September. So if you want to, and there's no charge, by the way. It's a freebie. It's actually
technically it's going to cost you accommodation and
transport.
And
he can't offer you accommodation
and your spending money and your food and drink.
But actually come and hang out with the legend and I. You can, it'll be it's a freebie. Just there'll be a bar and some food, which will be sold to cover the costs of, hiring a bit of this and hiring.
But there is a cap, isn't there? There is a limit. There's of how many people can attend.
Did you say 27? No, 50 or 60.
And obviously there is an element of.
It's going to be awesome.
Yes.
What it's going to be is like the Friday night. Imagine this: the Friday night we all get together at like a bar or a pub or some venue near the beach. Stunning beaches there, and we all get together and have a few drinks, and you go back to your tent, your Airbnb, which we might do a group booking on for our friends and people we know. And then the Saturday and Sunday will be days spent at the conspiracy music guru Mar-a-Lago. So it's going to be amazing. And then perhaps on the Monday, one more session down at the beach with people before calling time. I don't want to say the names of any of the potential speakers that could come, because there is the possibility that a few well-known speakers who are doing the circuit might come, and they will hopefully give us a half hour of their time. So that's all good on that.
Do people know the dates for that?
20th and 21st, or 21st and 22nd. Whatever.
I think it's the 20th and 21st of September.
Yeah.
So the Friday would be the 19th.
19th, yeah. I was trying to go for the week before, which would have had us September 11th, but...
Liverpool's on.
Oh, that's right. Liverpoolco. That's the one. Yeah.
Is on. So a few people are unable to make it. So,
yeah. Liz the Iron Maiden. Nice to see you. Daryl Davis. Nice to see you. And was it Daryl that was saying somewhere about missing the street activism? There's not so much of it these days. And good old Harry. He does actually post his. He still does. Not that I've seen one for a few months, to be honest. But
he is back at work, isn't he?
So he still does put content up, but on Rumble.
Okay.
And I don't think he calls himself John Smith Globeli on there anymore, because he's not presenting that when he's talking to people. He's not necessarily
focusing on that.
And he also realized that, and I think even the Globeli tour was so named because people around the organization were not wanting to call it Flat Earth because of the loaded connotations within that. Globeli was chosen. So Red Herring says some of the most famous talking heads are definitely playing multiple roles. I saw some pictures the other day that really helped that. Have Bliss says, I met many of the grifters at Agent Fest in the year of COVID, and don't miss any of those crisis actors. Thankfully, there's some darkness going on behind the scenes, my friend, conspiracy music guru, but maybe the more the dark, the more the light, eh? And the more one gets inflated, the other one has to kind of match it. That's natural. And the evolution of the society has taken it to a particular place, and maybe that technocracy, which is now or coming, or is it's just kind of, I don't know. I don't want to sound at all defeatist, but it's like it's how it's meant to. It's how it's been created to happen.
Well, also, I mean, this is where I like to zoom out and be a little bit more trusting of.
I'm going to zoom out and put some wood on the fire.
Trusting of the unfolding, and we were talking to our friend Nathan the other day about that no matter what, we have Saturn and Pluto and all of these energies, these moving, affecting this plane of inertia, and then us personally, and you can't escape that. In fact, I think when we're in resistance of it, it's when life starts to really feel so hard. What do they say? What you resist persists. We've come here to have the opportunity to grow and expand, and that doesn't happen when we're just sitting there having an easy time. That's not what this experience is.
Or even staying in your basement hammering out angry comments on Twitter or whatever. That's not how we grow, actually. If I stay in the fight, if I am drawn into the fight, then that's where I will be. That's where I will end. Or
there is a sometimes a need to have boundaries and to have discernment and to like we've spoken before about the masculine, about being the protector and the provider, sometimes that's absolutely necessary. But I think if we're stuck anywhere, or stuck, there's a repeating pattern or a repeating emotion that is appearing for you, then it's probably wanting your attention.
I wonder, just, I don't want to bypass the fact that the truth community is controlled. I saw that guy Del Bigtree. I told you years ago that you couldn't trust that guy, right? And now, obviously, well, I mean, it wasn't even now, obviously, but I did watch something of his an hour or two the other day or a few months ago. And, you know, I think it's now more clear than ever that, you know, it's a controlled message. And the same is true with what we're, you know, what is Flat Earth Community for? Is it to wake up the whole world? Is it to help each other who are where we are to our greatest good? You know, what is the purpose of the Flat Earth Community? And obviously, you know, we have amongst us scientific minds who want to do the scientific work of establishing the science of this place as much as is possible. But, you know, there is, the thing I don't want to bypass is the fact that if we are an infiltrated movement of truth seekers, and we've had a purge of a number, 1, 2, 3, 4, I don't know how many of the people that just jumped ship were always designed to be ship jumpers. But the point I wanted to make is that I wonder if, you know, that's the end of it, in the sense that those weren't the only ones. Whoever they are, they weren't the only ones. Makes me think of, you know, my early days, the first year and a half of street activism, particularly in Speaker's Corner. It drew me attention of, I think on 2 occasions, of like a Secret Service type, at least. I mean, we would sometimes say, you know, some of the, and Harry would say in Speaker's Corner, John Smith Floodlight would say, you know, this, you know, a number of these people are Tavistock controlled kind of agents who are in here to sow disharmony and evaluate where people are at and so on. And so, you know, I wonder if any of you have thought that actually, wow, if these guys, or some of these guys, were always paid to be here, then there must be more.
But what does that mean, though? What does that mean? You know, because otherwise all it does is make you continue to be mistrusting of people. For me, what it should be is like, well, actually, then maybe I'm the one who has to do the work on being more connected to my own intuition. That I know that when someone's energy feels off, that I just go, well, no, thank you. I mean, I would want the same. If people don't resonate with what I say, then that's absolutely fine. But use your discernment and your intuition, and the only way you connect back to that is when you know thyself. And to know thyself, you have to go and know all parts of thyself. And so I go back to, like, yes, by all means, you need to know this, but it's like, it could be this never-ending pattern, because then who can you trust? You know, and actually, if I think about it, that's been since the beginning.
Yeah.
It's like, this one's a shill, that one's a shill, that one's a shill, that one's a shill. You're an agent. You know, we had to go through all of that, and I just think that this is just like this rabbit hole of mistrust, and it has to come back to the individual and go, okay, you know, I need to be able to decide whether there's someone that I'm going to trust or not, and if I don't feel that, then I can just simply go, you know what, boundary, I'm not going to. There's
Yeah.
plenty of people that we've chosen not to listen to because their energy just feels really heavy and toxic.
Yeah.
And you know, I think that's the important part here. It's a bit like stress. You know, you're never going to get away from stress, but how do you deal with stress? It's the same with there are going to be many people in the world who are acting from their ego, and therefore the phrase "forgive them, they know not what they do" comes up. Because when you're acting from an ego, you're acting from an unconscious place. You're not acting from that loving, harmonious, wanting good and kindness in the world. Then when there are those by the bucket loads, whilst they are sleepwalking, and aspects of them are sleepwalking. So I don't know that's a kind of rabbit hole you want to just keep on swimming in. It's more important to know thyself.
Well, I was thinking of this analogy while you were talking, which is that if you were a youngster watching wrestling, you were a little young 10-year-old wrestler, and you did little 10-year-old wrestling, but you loved watching the big guys on the TV doing the WWE, and then at 12 years old you discovered that it was all staged and props and so on. Would you chuck in your wrestling, or would you want to continue it, despite realizing that stuff on TV isn't quite as real as you thought it was? You know, and I think this is where we should be at, is that even though some of what was held this community together is being propped up by CIA possibly or whatever, and are we going to lose ourselves in sobbing over the fact that WWE is rigged or it's staged, or are we going to go, okay, I can see that, but I'm still me, and I still have this wrestling, that I enjoy doing, and I'm going to do that and do it at the level. It's like I said with sport, I would enjoy watching some youngsters or, a village team play a sport against another village team, on the cricket ground or whatever, the football ground. I would enjoy that far more than participating in the big staged theatre now, there is something valuable in that, but just because the big stage stuff is, staged, doesn't mean that what's going on for you indoors isn't of value.
Well, I mean, also it makes me think of, like, a lot of what has been in the flat earth community is the sort of more logical, factual, figuring it out, material in some senses. I know there's plenty of people who talk about the energetics, but it's been the real focus on that. And maybe what this has done is thrown the cat amongst the pigeons, and actually a whole lot of people have started to feel stuff. Now, we spoke about that this morning, about that when we feel stuff, often we'll react and then project it onto someone else, when actually it's like, can I be with the part of me that it clearly is feeling something, and then respond to that person, and so maybe this is again this disharmony, this whole cat among the pigeon, or this disharmony is being brought about to bring harmony. And it also makes me think of the astrology, because Pluto is in the first degrees of Aquarius, and so many other things. Neptune at 29 degrees, the great dissolver of the ego. It's not gonna let it just be like, oh well, you can just carry on doing what you're doing. It's a bit of real life, offering lessons.
Yeah. How about that? Is Alex swearing and cursing now? That's funny. I wonder what set him off. Daryl Davis says Flat Earth Fokker was the first Flat Earther I hugged. I would love to have met him. And Mickey Warbanger, I did spend some time with Karen recently around her house, and she's like, when I went around there, she's like, oh, Mickey would have so loved to have been here now.
There have been a few, some of which I can't remember all their names, so we want to, honour all of them and their quest for truth.
Yes. Lost some good friends from the poke, yes, haven't we all? I don't know whether that's because they've passed on or because they don't want to talk to you because you...
Probably both.
MND, yes, it is a terrible one. So how far away am I from the...
Lots, by the way.
Wow. Hi, Bon. Nice to see you. I have just to skip a few. Heavy Shake, thanks for sharing my links. If anyone wants to share or this work or this conversation, please feel free to do that. And if you want to support us, that would be
and Dave's Linktree on his YouTube, and I think on the Trinities, my Linktree may be on the Trinities. There are obviously links to Buy Me Coffee and PayPal, but also to any coaching or mentoring that we offer. I've started offering astrology readings, so you can go and book there, or certainly go and see get a little bit more information.
So there's some good stuff in the astrology, really, really good stuff. And if you are open to that, Andrea is very knowledgeable in that area. We'll show you some more over the weeks ahead about that, because it's so relevant to you. The stars are so... It's the orchestra that's playing particularly your tune, and it's designed for you to harmonize with it.
Yeah, and then obviously, more importantly, intuitively, you're going to connect to that, because at the end of the day, you are this spiritual being having human experience, and yes, there's the astrology will give you insights and a map to what the possibilities are in this journey. And here's our little man again, which obviously means it's time for us to say goodbye.
Well, yeah, just about. I wanted just one or two more comments I wanted to catch before we go. It's difficult to know who to trust. Yeah, Bon, I'm kind of with you on that, but trust yourself and
that's the person you should trust the most.
Yes, trust yourself and for
Why
me.
is the video paused?
Don't worry about that. For me, I think that getting together with people that are real, people that one of the things that I always wondered about with some of these folks is like they don't seem to have real lives and real trauma. Don't click anything on that.
Not good.
Okay. So that's for me. It's like this has been a huge upheaval in everybody's lives. You cannot not have created that.
I'm just thinking about that mop comment.
The mop comment.
He likes your mop comment, Alex.
Yeah, so it's we'll see Alex in September at his party. So you'll be able to be able to sort him out when you see him. But yeah, I think people who are having a real experience are probably and actually, I won't go on about that now.
Can I just say something? I think that about that. I think part of our trauma response when we're very young is that we end up giving our agency away to the outside, and so we stop trusting our own voice. We stop trusting our own intuition. our own guidance, and because we've given it away, and so there's this sort of disconnection, and I suppose, you know, the going within part is about that reconnection, or that remembrance, or that remembering, and therefore, you know, getting back to trusting ourselves, or certainly the nudges that we have. And when it comes to people, you know, if it feels off, then to trust it. If it feels right, then trust it. So it's about getting that, like cultivating that. That's what I'm trying to say.
And in a way, like also, you know, because what we don't want to do is this is what this tends to do, is it creates that mistrust amongst us, and so actually that's a harmful or negative energy for us to be expressing around ourselves. Well, I've tried not to kind of get too drawn into all of the kind of mud, because, you know, we don't really want to be lost in or rather, you know, it's that thing of, you know, you got treated badly by one person back a long time ago. Now everybody who looks like that one person gets treated the same way, you know, like they're the enemy.
Well, I mean, that's running unconsciously in people, unfortunately. And so I think that the mistrust thing is something that we carry from very, very young. You know, we don't trust the world. The world doesn't feel safe.
Yeah. David, remember what you said about all Davids. Well, why is there another David? Because I think that David said about David's being smart. Well, and the David I comment I'd noticed about him and the flat earth, and yes, he doesn't want to touch flat earth. And I gave him a flyer on flat earth, handed that to him. It's the closest I've been to him. I've never had a conversation other than, hey, will you take my flyer? I knocked on the car, he opened the door, opened the window.
Yeah, I may or might not have opened a clothing machine to like Dave.
Zizi, why don't you put this on for the people so they can see this? I'll show you.
So,
oh no!
what's he got?
Oh, this is gonna be funny.
Thanks for the heart, Samyaza. Alexander is so cute. Yeah, he's cool. He's nearly 8.
He's come to show you his t-shirt.
Oh, look. Whoa, look what we got here.
So they need to be able to see the front of the t-shirt. So sit back a little bit.
That's good. You're pulling it.
Sorry.
Little truther in the making. This is a t-shirt that Dan Kruger makes, and is available on Macabre Life. MacabreLife dot something. Oh man, I'll have to get that as a link for people. But you can go and get these t-shirts.
Isn't it macabre.life?
Maybe it's macabre.life.
Alexander's so cute. Thank you.
Yeah, that's very kind.
I
Holistic Media, appreciate you. Memorial Gardens, lovely to see you, and hope you're all well, you and Penny. Marty hasn't let the gun make it. Cool. Lovely t-shirt, cool t-shirt. You're a blessed boy. Mini me realist, nice one.
How do you still not know how to?
It's easy, yeah. How do you still not know how to spell his name? Next time we see Nathan, you're going to have to tell him off for not spelling his name correctly.
The name is Z-I. No, I spelled it wrong. Okay.
Z-I.
Z-I. That's how you spell it.
Like the pizza.
Now there's 2 people calling me that.
It's a pizza restaurant, right? You've got your own pizza chain.
Dude.
Guys.
Look at that.
He's got it now.
How
Alright.
does everyone know how to spell my name?
Yeah, you might wonder. How does everyone not know how to spell his name? Anyway, it's been lovely to. Oh, no, there's Daniel Kruger right there. Daniel, you hit Daniel up for some thanks and for the t-shirt. Yeah. So thanks very much for the t-shirts, mate.
Okay.
And
He
we'll.
says got it. What does he?
He's got it. He knows how to spell it now. Oh, he's putting Z-E-I. Dude.
We could be here for hours
Yeah,
just,
yeah.
you know, figuring out a
These
name.
comments are really funny.
Yeah.
I want to keep reading these.
Zizi loves laughing.
Daniel Kruger's got a cool place in Portugal. We are talking early days, but we're talking about having like a retreat there for a small number of people the week after Alex Michael or 2 weeks after Alex Michael's
Yeah, I
party.
feel like
follow.
most of this video is just gonna be me reading some of these comments.
Yeah, yeah. Which means September's
Still
easy.
don't know.
Oh, maybe Squirrel's gonna come. That'd be awesome. That would be very awesome.
Still doesn't know how to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish you a wonderful night too, gaining wisdom. Thanks for your support. Thanks to all of you for your support. Thanks, Hippie. Appreciate that, putting Daniel's channel there. Go and have a look at his stuff, and he's got he's got a lot of t-shirts.
How have you misspelled?
Z-E-I.
I was about to say how.
Zay.
I was about to say.
If we were maybe Australian or New Zealander, Zay.
I was about to say. How have you How have you misspelled my name?
How have you misspelled that? Yeah.
I guess that became.
Yeah.
I guess that became.
Can I just we're midway through the eclipse, so I'd be interested, but also wondering how everybody's doing. It has felt pretty intense. We obviously have 2 retrogrades. We have Venus and Mercury in retrograde. So yeah, I just wondered how you were doing, but just the best advice is just try and
He did it again.
slow down, surrender, listen, feel.
Look.
ZZ.
How it's Z-I. Z-Z-I.
And next
Intense and emotional, it says.
I know.
Liz.
I know
Yes,
you aren't
yes.
spelling. I know you.
Z-
I know you aren't spelling that intentionally. I know
Yeah,
you
he
aren't
is.
unintentionally.
You're absolutely right. It has been. I mean, obviously, some people are more sensitive to that energy. I certainly am.
Yeah,
But I know Dave has also felt.
I'm just gonna read some of these comments.
Dave has also felt it. It's felt. Just very heightened, but lots of emotions, and that's really on point. And then next Friday is a new moon in Aries with a solar eclipse, and after that it should feel a little bit easier, although we still have the 2 retrogrades. But we'll be meeting next Friday, so we can
Where does that name come
sort
from?
of meet in that.
Ooh,
That's
that's a good
new moon
energy.
energy.
That's a good question. I actually don't know.
Lunderground, I think, might have met you once in Speaker's Corner. I feel like he was there one day when you were there.
I think so too.
I don't actually know where my name comes from. I don't think it's from the restaurant. If I don't think.
No, it doesn't.
No,
come
there's a
from
London,
the
there's a
No.
pizza restaurant in London called Zizi, spelled the same way
Yeah.
as he does.
That's just a coincidence.
Yeah.
Trust me.
But his name we gave him was Alexander,
Actually.
So when he was young.
I couldn't pronounce that when I was younger. Someone actually got it right.
That's Greg, yeah, that's Greg.
Right.
You spoke to the other day.
So I couldn't say the name Alexander when I was young. So we just made up a new name, a nickname, Zizi.
Well, it was first going to be Aziz.
Zizi, and then it was Izzy's. Then we kind of turned that into Izzy. Then we shortened that to Zizi. That's kind of the whole story.
And tell everybody, how old are you going to be soon?
8.
8 years old.
Also, wait, they haven't seen the puzzle.
I showed them the puzzle last week, actually. Yeah, I did. I showed him 1,000.
Anyway,
yeah, well, I
Should
just
we-
think that it's going to be another interesting week ahead, all things around, you know, and
Someone
try not to get too
someone
caught up in the
actually-
maelstrom. And we will,
Wow, big boy 8. I'm not actually 8, but I'm very close to.
you know, ZZ3 is one locally, not. Oh, right. Yeah,
Oh!
okay.
Purple hearts. That's my favorite color.
Yeah,
You
thanks.
probably know that by now.
You do now. If you didn't before, Sammy Haza. Yeah, intelligent young man. Well, until next time.
Yep.
yeah, take care. Be kind to
also,
yourself. Go
If you're
slow.
wondering when the birthday is, it's very, very soon. It's April.
April.
Actually, April 24th.
Ah, awesome.
Almost April 23rd. So,